27's must go away. It's
year end closeout time at the Claremont Auto Center. All new Fords, all new Toyotas. Maximum savings. Prices will never be lower. Over 500 new vehicles to choose from, but when they're gone, there'll be no more. Superstore selection.
discount prices.
Hi, I'm Roger Hogan, owner of the Claremont Auto Center. Come experience the Claremont difference. You'll be glad you did.
Claremont Auto Center, Indian Hill Boulevard to Auto Center Drive.
You need a car to do your best and get the most out of life. But how can you buy one if you have bad credit or no credit at all? Hi, I'm Fran Tarkington with good news. Thanks to 1-800-BAR-NONE, you don't have to let credit problems keep you from owning a car. If you're working, there's a car waiting for you. Just call 1-800-BAR-NONE. Your loan application will be completed and accepted in 5 minutes or less. Get the car you need and deserve. Call 1-800-BAR-NONE right now.
Gayle King, this Monday on CBS 2. A final farewell for the Princess of Wales. Two brave young princes walking behind their mother's coffin before the eyes of the world. An unprecedented gesture. The Queen, who bows for no one, bows her head as Princess Diana passes Buckingham Palace. And tears in America, as well as Britain, as much of the world says farewell to a princess.
This is the CBS Evening News with Paula Zahn.
Good evening. Time stood still today for Britain and the world. Less than a week after her death in a speeding car in Paris, Princess Diana was buried tonight on an island of solitude after being eulogized as a woman who didn't need a royal title to dispense her brand of magic. Dan Rather in London begins our coverage of that long last goodbye.
For a nation that has experienced an extraordinary week, a week of grief and anger and disbelief, this was a day that will be forever a marker in British history. The day every man, woman, and child stopped to mourn the loss of Diana, a woman whose power over the hearts and souls of this population was never fully appreciated until her premature passing. Thousands upon thousands came to see her coffin, carried on a simple gun carriage, pulled by 6 black horses through the streets and avenues of old London. Topped by bouquets of lilies, the smallest held a card that said simply, Mummy. At the same time, those invited to the service began arriving at Westminster Abbey. Luciano Pavarotti, First Lady Hillary Clinton, and Mohammed Al-Fayed. At St. James Palace, Prince William and Prince Harry waited with their father, Prince Charles, to join the procession, along with Earl Spencer, the princess's brother. When the cortege reached the Abbey, the princess's coffin was borne into the ancient cathedral by 8 members of the Welsh Guard.
If I should die and leave you here a while.
There were 4 speakers,
not like others,
Diana's 2 sisters,
but for those who love, time is eternity.
Prime Minister Tony Blair,
For now, we see through a glass darkly.
In his eulogy, Charles, Earl Spencer, sounded sad and bitter.
That of all the ironies about Diana, perhaps the greatest was this. A girl given the name of the ancient goddess of hunting was, in the end, the most hunted person of the modern age. She would want us today to pledge ourselves to protecting her beloved boys, William and Harry, from a similar fate. And I do this here, Diana, on your behalf.
You called out to our country, and you whispered.
Elton John performed his new version of Candle in the Wind, rewritten for the occasion.
Spelled out your name. And it seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind.
And so, for Princess Diana, the journey that began with her glorious wedding ceremony 16 years ago at the other end of London at St. Paul's Cathedral, ended today here at Westminster Abbey with her funeral. For those of us who were here on that happy, long-ago summer day, the wedding day, the events of this day are still hard to grasp. What is not difficult to grasp is the love that the people of this country have for Princess Diana, even more now in death than in life.
And Dan will be back later tonight with a CBS News special, Farewell to a Princess, beginning at 8 p.m. Pacific time. All along the London route of the funeral procession, millions of mourners stared in silence as the cortege rolled by. Jade Robelo tells us why so many people found it impossible to be anywhere else.
Probably one of the saddest days of my whole life.
There'll never be anyone to replace her. Never.
It's just a terrible loss for everybody, I think.
On the streets of London today, the outpouring of affection for the people's princess was everywhere.
It's indescribable. We didn't want to watch this on television. We wanted to be here and feel it.
From the street sweepers,
I see it as she was just like a second queen to us in this country.
to those who'd camped out for days.
How can so many people love one person?
To the children who idolized her.
I want to be with her today because I want to be like, to mean something to her. I just like the way she's got the effort to actually go and touch these people who are ill and some are dying. I hope I can do the same someday.
The funeral was the people's opportunity to mourn their princess. Afterwards, at a corner pub, they shared their memories of the day with us.
What part of the service today was the most emotional part for you?
I think all of it. Elton John. I think Elton John was the only person that wasn't crying. Only because he was singing. It's hard to imagine life without Princess Diana. It really is.
All fellas fancied her secretly. And that's why it's hard on the fellas, because she was so classy and lovely, and every fella dreamed of being with Diana. It's just very hard, isn't it?
We all got to know her because of the publicity. The publicity made her, and it also killed her.
And that was Jane Robelo reporting from London. The ancient walls of Westminster Abbey could barely contain the sadness of Diana's funeral. Reporters inside the Abbey said Elton John's song brought her sons William and Harry to tears. Mark Phillips tells us that for teenaged William, adulthood has come too early.
What is the legacy that will follow Diana? It followed her quite literally today. Her legacy is the son who will be king, William, walking head bowed behind his mother's coffin. Yes, Diana tried to blow the cobwebs out of the British royalty, but her legacy takes an even more tangible form. She has left behind the future, the hope for the royal house of Windsor. She has left behind her son.
And I think she felt, well, I know she did, because she said so many, many times, that the monarchy was archaic and it needed to move forward. And I think she saw William as the guiding light, and that will be her legacy.
If today was a test of the stuff William was made of, no 15-year-old could have done more. While the eyes of the country were on him, his eyes were on the ground in front of him, as if looking for the path to the future that fate has provided.
I pledge that we, your blood family, will do all we can to continue the imaginative and loving way in which you are steering these two exceptional young men.
Thank you so much. Diana's death has now increased the pressure on William. He's expected not just to have his mother's sensibilities, he's expected to replace her in the hearts of the people. And he's expected to have the charismatic appeal she had that all the other royals lack. The echoes of the funeral procession have faded now, but its effect lingers on. History walked these streets today, and in a way, the future did too, in the form of a brave 15-year-old boy. His mother's son, her legacy to the country and to the world that had consumed her. Mark Phillips, CBS News, London.
If Diana was indeed the people's princess, then she reigned over hearts not only in Britain, but in the world. Even those who could only admire her from afar made clear today that they felt her special touch. Thalia Shuras looks at how Americans are mourning Diana.
A fairy princess who came and sprinkled her fairy dust and left, you know. She did what she had to do and she's gone.
During the procession and the prayers, Kathy Russo remained dry-eyed.
And the stars spell out your name.
But like countless others, she dissolved into tears during Elton John's musical tribute to Princess Diana.
Like a candle in the wind.
An unabashed admirer, Russo watched at home with her husband and 2 daughters.
I've been waking up every day feeling like I lost a family member. And I've been saying to him, honey, is there something wrong with me?
Husband Neil admitted surprise at his deep emotions, too.
She just touched my heart, too, and I just saw her as a true Cinderella.
And as this family sat together thousands of miles from London, their hearts went out to Diana's children.
She was just a great mother. She's very loving. She gave them some sense of normalcy that they're probably never going to have again.
That's what a lot of people are worried about.
This day, Americans came together in many places. At the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. At Boston's Trinity Cathedral, a memorial service was shared inside and out. And the plaintive strains of bagpipes transcended age. A teenager in Florida performing a solitary tribute. This was a day when Princess Diana reigned.
She was a lot stronger than they gave her credit for. A lot, you know? She came in like a mouse and went out like a lion. She really did. I'm proud of her.
Thalia Shuras, CBS News, New York.
We'll have more on the farewell to Princess Diana and her final journey to the family estate north of London. But first, a tribute to Mother Teresa when the CBS Evening News continues.
When it comes to getting in shape, the things we do to our bodies, we jar our joints and impact our bodies in ways that can wear us out, aging us before our time. Now, Nordic Track introduces the new Ellipse, the fitness breakthrough that pioneers the use of elliptical motion for a superior total body workout with virtually no impact. And that makes it better for your body. If suspended in air, the human body would naturally move in a non-jarring elliptical path. The Ellipse simulates this motion, virtually eliminating harmful impact, while treadmills cut the motion short, causing impact to your body. With all these features, Ellipse keeps you motivated, so you'll see results. The Ellipse Total Body Exerciser does it all in a fun and easy motion. Call now for your free video and brochure. Ellipse can be yours for just $29.95 a month. Try it at home for 30 days. If you're not completely satisfied, return it for a refund. Call now, the new Nordic Track Ellipse, the shape that's better for your body.
What would you give to be more confident? What would you give for the knowledge it takes to move with certainty through every business day?
Just $3.90 a week brings you the Wall Street Journal. Our personal finance guide and decision maker software is free with your paid 10-week subscription. Call now, 800-722-3100. That's 800-722-3100 for the Wall Street Journal.
In an honor usually reserved for presidents and prime ministers, Mother Teresa will receive a state funeral in Calcutta, in India, next Saturday. Today, thousands waited hours to pay their final respects. Mother Teresa will be buried at the Missionaries of Charity convent, an order she founded over 50 years ago. In life, Princess Diana said she received strength from Mother Teresa. Randall Pinkston tells us about the strength both these great women gave to some people with a housing project in New York City.
14 years before Princess Diana was born, Mother Teresa was caring for the destitute and dying in the slums of Calcutta. Her work for the poor eventually spreading worldwide through the order she founded, the Missionaries of Charity. After a meeting 3 months ago in New York, reporters asked Mother Teresa what she thought about the young princess who had shown an interest in charity.
She's a wonderful woman.
And the feeling was mutual.
Where did Princess Di go to get her strength? Interestingly, she'd go to Calcutta. She came here to meet Mother.
This Missionaries of Charities convent is across the street from a public housing project in the Bronx. What the people here remember most about the elderly nun and the princess is that they both tried to help the downtrodden.
To feel this woman's touch and just being with her for 5 seconds, your body would tremble. She was extraordinary.
Expressions of sadness poured in from around the world.
She served the poor, the suffering, and the dying. And in so doing, she served as an inspiration and a challenge to all the rest of us.
There will be next week already a groundswell around the world for canonization by acclamation.
Pope John Paul celebrated a mass for Mother Teresa. But it's the common people who will miss her uncommon touch.
When she bless you, you feel like a new person.
Back in the Bronx, Juan and Reina Lugo brought flowers, remembering that magical moment when they witnessed the Saint of the Gutters blessing the Queen of Hearts.
They went together. That's probably meet in heaven.
They leave behind enduring but divergent legacies. Diana's tied to her fame, Mother Teresa's linked to her good works. Randall Pinkston, CBS News, New York.
Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, Paula Jones.
With the help of the people who knew her best.
Those empty days without your smile, this torch we'll always carry for our nation's golden child. Even though we try, the truth brings us to tears. All our words cannot express the joy you brought us through the years. And it seems to me you've lived your life like a candle at the well, never fading with the sunset when the rain set in. And your footsteps will always fall here along England's greenest hills. The candles burned out long before your legend ever will.
Tonight, Sir Richard Attenborough, Elizabeth Dole, longtime friend Liz Tabaris, Diana's one-time kindergarten student, Alex Balls, and we'll hear from some of the millions of people around the world whose lives were touched by the Queen of Hearts.
Where lives were torn apart. Goodbye, English road, from a country lost without your soul, who missed the wings of your compassion more than you will ever know. And it seems to me you've lived your life like a candle in the wind, never fading with the sunset when the rain set in. And your footsteps will always fall here along England's greenest hills. The candles burned out long before your legend ever will.
In a moment, farewell to a princess.
Speak freely on Monday nights.
It's not the dress that makes you look big. It's your hips. Mama?
Sure, she thinks you're cute. You're rich.
Visit.
Now switch to Sprint Sense and get free long-distance calling on Monday nights.
Yeah, I have seen cuter babies.
Bob, you're not fooling anyone. It doesn't even look like hair. No.
Oh, boy.
When Sprint said speak freely on Monday nights, I don't think that's what they meant.
Get your Monday nights free. Call now, 1-800-PIN-DROP.
Brought to you by Maxwell House.
Just as long as the sun always sets in the west, and no dream is too big to come true. Just as long as home is the place at the end of the rainbow, Maxwell House will always be good to the last drop.
fresh Clorox 2 color-safe bleach. It's love at first sniff.
Your tiny hands, your little feet, that silly laugh, smile so sweet.
At the JCPenney Baby Day sale, you'll find big savings on the things you need for your little one.
JCPenney, I love your style.
He's America's toughest interviewer.
How do you dare call me self-involved?
Mike Wallace, busting scams.
What is this? This is 60 Minutes.
Asking the questions no one dares.
President Sadat calls you a lunatic.
A true television pioneer. People want candid talk. Mike Wallace Remembers, Thursday.
This fall, they'll have something to talk about. Public Eye with Bryant Gumbel. Wednesdays. See for yourself.
Good evening from London. This is the story of a lovely young princess who cast a spell on the world with beauty, charm, and a tender heart. Her name was Diana, Diana, Princess of Wales. Her story began like a fairy tale, once upon a time. It ended much too soon. Tonight, as we tell Diana's story, we will begin at the end with the spectacular outpouring of love and affection today as the world said farewell to a princess. In the clear, chilly morning, the cortege marched out of Kensington Palace, slowly, into a sea of mourners. Alone at first, escorted only by members of the Welsh Guard. The casket was mounted on a simple gun carriage, draped with the royal standard, topped by bouquets of lilies from her brother Earl Spencer and the sons she left so suddenly, William and Harry. The smallest held a card that said simply, Mummy. The crowd was quiet, very quiet, expressing their sorrow in a great silence. At the same time, those invited to the service began arriving at Westminster Abbey. People who represented all the threads of the princess's life, from the arts to politics, to family and friends. At St. James Palace, Prince William and Prince Harry waited with their father, Prince Charles, to join the procession, along with Earl Spencer, the princess's brother. The silence of the crowd was punctuated only by the clatter of horses' hooves. When the cortege reached the abbey, the princess's coffin was borne into the ancient cathedral by 8 members of the Welsh Guard. Elton John performed his new version of Candle in the Wind, rewritten for the occasion.
Goodbye, England's rose. May you ever grow in our hearts. You are the grace that placed yourselves where lives were torn. apart. You called out to our country, and you whispered to those in pain, now you belong to heaven, and the stars spelled out your name. And it seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind, never fading with the sunset when the rain set in. And your footsteps will always fall here along England's greenest hills. Your candles burned out long before your legend ever will.
I stand before you today, the representative of a family in grief.
In his eulogy, Charles, Earl Spencer, sounded sad and bitter. His powerful words took direct aim at the press for hunting Diana and the royal family, for binding her in tradition and stripping her of her royal title.
Diana was the very essence of compassion, of duty, of style, of beauty. All over the world, she was a symbol of selfless humanity, a standard bearer for the rights of the truly downtrodden, a very British girl who transcended nationality, someone with a natural nobility who was classless, and who proved in the last year that she needed no royal title to continue to generate her particular brand of magic. And here we come to another truth about her. For all the status, the glamour, the applause, Diana remained throughout a very insecure person at heart, almost childlike in her desire to do good for others, so she could release herself from deep feelings of unworthiness, of which her eating disorders were merely a symptom. The world sensed this part of her character and cherished her for her vulnerability, whilst admiring her for her honesty. There is no doubt that she was looking for a new direction in her life at this time. She talked endlessly of getting away from England, mainly because of the treatment that she received at the hands of the newspapers. I don't think she ever understood why her genuinely good intentions were sneered at by the media, why there appeared to be a permanent quest on their behalf to bring her down. It is baffling. My own and only explanation is that genuine goodness is threatening to those at the opposite end of the moral spectrum. It is a point to remember that of all the ironies about Diana, perhaps the greatest was this: a girl given the name of the ancient goddess of hunting was, in the end, the most hunted person of the modern age. She would want us today to pledge ourselves to protecting her beloved boys, William and Harry, from a similar fate. And I do this here, Diana, on your behalf. We will not allow them to suffer the anguish that used regularly to drive you to tearful despair. And beyond that, on behalf of your mother and sisters, I pledge that we, your blood family, will do all we can to continue the imaginative and loving way in which you are steering these two exceptional young men, so that their souls are not simply immersed by duty and tradition, but can sing openly as you planned. William and Harry, we all care desperately for you today. We're all chewed up with sadness at the loss of a woman who wasn't even our mother. How great your suffering is, we cannot even imagine. I would like to end by thanking God for the small mercies he's shown us at this dreadful time, for taking Diana at her most beautiful and radiant, and when she had joy in her private life. Above all, we give thanks for the life of a woman I'm so proud to be able to call my sister, the unique, the complex, the extraordinary and irreplaceable Diana, whose beauty, both internal and external, will never be extinguished from our minds.
His message sounded a chord with millions. Applause could be heard